Hi, my name is Khleif, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons to get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome to another edition of How to Build Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. I'm Khleif, and I am thrilled you're here. And I know you're going to get tremendous value from the gentleman we're interviewing today. His name is Leslie Awasom, and he is the Director of Operations for Xsite Capital, spelled Xsite. They have $107 million in assets under management, and they just started a couple of years ago, so that's very impressive. But welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, Rod, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here because listening to someone like you over the years, listening to your podcast, listening to all the presentations that you did, really pushed me forward to get to this point. And to be sitting here having this conversation with you is like I'm living my dream right now. So thank you so much for having me on your podcast, Rod.
Well, thank you for those kind words. I really appreciate that very much. So why don't we start the way we normally start by having you tell my listeners how you got started? Because that's not what you do as a W-2 right now. And so it's and we talked about this a little before we started recording. So I'm looking forward to hearing your whole story, and then we'll drill down on some stuff. So take it away, my friend.
All right, Rod. So my journey into multifamily investing started somewhere around 2016, like in the early phases of my career as a nurse anesthetist. I had this career that I had worked hard for, that I was looking forward to earning a healthy salary, but I got to a point where I felt like that was a ceiling to my growth in the healthcare field, because as a nurse anesthetist, the next step was probably to go get a doctorate degree and do some research, but that wasn't exciting to me. So I just could not imagine my life being that, regardless of the fact that I had such a great job. It's a fantastic schedule. I had great time, enough time to spend with my family. I kept asking myself if this was all for me. So around the same time I was asking myself about that, I came across an article on Yahoo that talked about a book written by some guy that wrote another book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. And the name of the book was Second Chance at Your Money and Your Life. And he said it was written for millennials with a lot of student loan debt and that need financial knowledge. And that appealed to me. So I bought the book and I started reading the book. And the book, it just felt like Robert Kiyosaki was like a long lost uncle that was talking to me, giving me the advice about the stuff that I needed to hear at that point in time. So I took the courage and I started applying some of the stuff he's talked about, which was like invest in real estate, go out and network with other people. So I came out of my comfort zone, went out to meetup events, started listening to podcasts like your own. And I finally took the courage and bought my first investment property, which was a condo. Did like the BRR model on it. And it worked great because when I went to refinance, the values in that particular neighborhood had gone up due to nothing that I did, but the values went up, and the renovations added the value by $77,000. So seeing that much value created kind of sparked the light bulb on me. And I started going to more events, came across one of my first partners along the way. And we decided to segue and focus into multifamily investing. And we formed our company in 2019 and just been pushing and working hard since then, and starting to see some of the great results right now.
Love it, love it, love it. So before we started recording, I asked you what role you played on your team, because, guys, we know this is a team sport. And would you answer the question again on the show? What role you play, and then talk about, because I didn't see the connection between your current role, in the medical field and what you're doing now. So could you repeat what you told me earlier?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm director of operations at my company. So I do all the data analysis for like the markets, the property. I do the underwriting for the property. I'm looking at the numbers to make sure that they are within the projections that we want to present for investors. And I come up with a business plan as well for each of the properties that we go into. And interestingly enough, the analysis part is something that ties in with what I do on my day job as a nurse anesthetist, because what we do is we have to evaluate all the scenarios. Every new patient that comes in, you have to look at all their history, their medical history, everything that's going on, relate that to the surgery and identify whatever kind of risk that you might encounter during the surgery. And then you try to eliminate that as an anesthesia provider. So we do everything on the back end to make sure that somebody doesn't die when they're having surgery, which is good because it helps you to dig in deep and analyze and find out everything. But there's also a downside to that, which I mentioned to you earlier, Rod, is why you making sure that somebody doesn't die in business is different, and that approach can get you stuck in analysis paralysis, which is something that I really struggled with in the early part of my journey. So I was lucky that I had partners that think differently that were able to push me forward.
So your partner, what role does he play? Is he the more the investor relations, broker relations, things like that, or what does he do?
So I have two partners. Okay. I have Dr. Julius, who is the director of investor relations and a CEO. Then Tenny Tolofari is director of acquisitions. The partner I'm referring to is actually Tenny Tolofari, because his background, he had a financial services business prior to us coming together. So he is more business inclined. So he had the business mindset. So he is more pushful, go. And I was more the analytical guy trying to sit back and analyze everything. So that kind of a synergy kind of pushed us forward and make sure that we're getting in the right deals.
Wow, that's awesome. And typically I would have him on the show versus you, because typically the analytical underwriter doesn't want to have anything to do with getting on Rod's podcast. They want to stay in their little bubble with their spreadsheet and you have raw meat thrown in once in a while, and that's it. So, it's impressive that you're here, my friend, because, most people that are in that side of the business aren't as extroverted as the people doing the investor relations and the other pieces. So I'm really pleased to have you on the show, instead of, what we call the mouthpiece. Like in my relationship, I'm the mouthpiece, So, so that's awesome. So, you talked about getting stuck in analysis paralysis. I would love to hear how you push through that, and try to really dig deep if you can, because that's such a big thing that people struggle with in this business. Because honestly, my most successful students are the ones that are the most analytical, and they're the hardest to get to push across the freaking finish line or to actually take that first step even. So talk about, if you would, how you were able to push through.
So it kind of goes in line with what you just said about the analytical person trying to remain in a bubble in the comfort zone. That was me, Rod. I was so scared of everything and anything. I wasn't quite sure why I was even scared of those things looking back now. And one of the things that my partner did when we started is like kind of push me into uncomfortable situations. And one thing that really helped us a lot, both of us, me in particular, is the personal development. We consume a lot of personal development. Again, I listen to guys like you talk about feel the fear and do it anyway. I love the multifamily space because it's not only giving me an opportunity to provide financial security for myself and our investors, but it's also pushing me to grow. And I grew a lot by facing my fears and getting the way I got out of analysis paralysis, first becoming aware that this is what I was in, and understanding that this might have something to do with my training as an anesthesia provider was a really huge light bulb moment for me, because realizing that that those fears that I have, when you have somebody's life in your hands, it's a lot of responsibility that you have at that period of time. So
that gives you some perspective. Yes, I'm sorry to interrupt, but somebody's life worth, versus, making, I mean, certainly somebody's financial life is important, but not like when you literally have their life in your hands. I'm sorry I interrupted. Please continue. But yeah, I could totally see the perspective comparison there for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that awareness kind of helped me a lot get past it. And again, just pushing through those fears, whatever I'm stuck about, and having partners that I could run it by, and then having their own opinion and being more open-minded to listen to other people kind of push me across. And when you start taking the action and you start seeing the result, then I start realizing there really is nothing to be afraid of.
Right.
Coming and talking to you, coming out of my shell and talking to you is like, there's nothing to be afraid of,
right.
It's the growth that I'm getting from it that is really pushing me forward, and I'm really enjoying the journey.
No, I love it, buddy. I love it. You know, we've had people on the show that have written books about, introvert versus extrovert and the different dynamics there. And I really shed some light on my own personal relationship with my bride, Tiffany, because she's an introvert. And so she gets energy from being alone. Me, I get energy from this communication and this dialogue that fires me up, and being around people. So it's impressive that you're able to push through. And again, you're kind of an anomaly for my podcast. I mean, certainly I've had others as well that are super analytical, but typically it's the other person on the team that I'm the one interviewing. Yeah. So I know that you are, you do embrace the importance of mindset and your psychology to take action, and that has been a factor. Can you maybe expand on that a little bit as to how you and your team have, what strategies maybe you've utilized to tap into a positive mindset? If anything comes to mind, want to ask that question. Anything that you consume or strategies you've utilized, or techniques, or anything that you can speak to that ties into that mindset realm that got you to take action.
Absolutely. You see, early on in my journey, I watched like a personal development teacher did an illustration where he had like two glasses, and one had a glass of like Coca-Cola, and the other one, like, he had a bottle of pure water. And he said, clean water. And he said, your brain right now, with everything you have in there's like this glass of Coca-Cola. The only way to get it clear so you could see the world clearly is to keep pouring clean water into it. And he kept pouring the clean water into that glass of Coca-Cola until the glass became clear. That stuck with me, that the only way for me to build on my mindset is to consume more content that empowered me and moved me forward. And Rod, when I graduated anesthesia school, I promised myself I'll never read a book again in my life. But I've read way more books than I've ever read. In the past 3.5 years, I've read way more books than I've ever read in my entire life.
I want to stop you. I want to stop you right there. Guys, I hope you just heard what he said. Okay. So many people think that their education stops after they graduate from college, and you had obviously a higher level degree with what you do. And you even swore to yourself you weren't going to continue to read, but you were smart enough to recognize that learners are earners, and we are always growing and learning. And I remember my son asking me why I was going to a real estate boot camp when I already had thousands of units, and when he was 9 years old. And I told him that's because, I'll get some distinctions. I'll learn something. And, I love that. And I love to share this picture of me where my arms are extended, and I've got lanyards, hundreds of lanyards from all the events and the boot camps that I've been to, because I never went to college, and, shame on me. I have regret around not going to college. Now, I'm better read than most college graduates. I've got thousands of books in my library, but so guys, please recognize that your education actually starts when you get out of college. For most roles, college is great for a technical role like yours, and you need it. But unfortunately, college, there's some sad statistics around success relating to college graduates, and they're disappointing. And so, we get a lot of people in my ecosystem that went to college and never really pursued their dreams. And so, it's failing a lot of people. Now, again, like if you're going to be a doctor, dentist, nurse, anesthesiast like you and things like that, I mean, you need it. But no, I just wanted to hammer that point home because it's so critical. So please continue. So you continue to learn and grow and read. What else?
Yeah, so I remember I have a daily worksheet, like a weekly calendar of stuff that I need to do, because I build like the number of things that I need to do on a weekly basis and kind of track myself on what I'm doing. And one of the things is to listen to a podcast every day. One of the things is to spend 30 minutes reading every day. Or one of the things is to meditate or listen to something positive every day. And I started doing that like about 3 years ago. And wow. I could see myself changing. I could see myself becoming happier in every other aspect of life, not just in understanding multifamily. And one of the things was reading something about multifamily or doing something that is increasing my knowledge. So I could see myself changing along the way. And when you start seeing those kind of results, you just keep going. So to date, I still do that. I read every day. I meditate. I try to meditate every day. I still sign up for courses, boot camps, personal development programs. At every time of the year, I'm investing in something that is building my mindset, because I have seen the results that it has had in my life. It's not just about it's not just about financial. It has a great amount of results in my own personal life. So there's no way
I
I could
love it.
pull back from that.
Love it, love it, love it. And you know, it's interesting. And a lot of what you said. I'm assuming you exercise as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Every
yeah,
morning. Yes, sir.
yeah, yeah. So that ties into, you know, Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning. Where you meditate, you read. One of the things that I do at my boot camps is I go through a planning process, a weekly planning process, and those components include, celebrating whatever I got done the previous week. So because progress equals happiness, it's never about the ultimate goal. It's always about growing and progressing. That's where happiness comes. But the other thing at the end of that, I have people put declarations down that they're going to commit to. And on my personal one, and you were resonating with me because on my own, it's read 30 minutes a day. It's exercise a body part every day. It's do some focused meditation or prayer or something to hone my mind. And I was just interviewed on another show right before this one, and I referenced something because the guy asked me what my favorite podcast was, and the only podcast I really listen to is Tim Ferriss's, and I get excited because my podcast has hit over 11 million downloads, and he does that, I don't know, every few days, I think. So, but I'm gonna let me land the plane on this. But he one of the biggest secrets to success is focus, right? Okay, the people that are the most focused are the most successful. And I started to hear a pattern. Now, what he does is he interviews the best in the world in every walk of life, actors, Arnold and Ed Norton and Jamie Foxx, and athletes, Michael Phelps and Kobe and other people have been on his show, and then billionaires like Ray Dalio, the best of the best. And I started to hear a pattern. They all meditate.
Yeah.
And so what does meditation enhance? Focus, right? So no, I love that. So again, so you read every day, you read something that's going to expand your knowledge. You meditate every day, you exercise, and I love it. I love it. Anything else that you do that comes to mind, or did that exhaust the?
It's just being aware of my own thoughts, because it's very easy to get caught in a negative pattern. So that's something that I'm getting better at doing right now. Just being aware of my own thoughts, being aware of the way I view other people, trying not to judge people, because it's tough growing up in a religious background to where you thought to think a certain way, then going out into the world and looking at people in a certain way. So I'm working on looking at people just as people, not to judge people and not to judge situations based on my own views or on the way I look at life.
Wow.
So
wow, yeah, that is very insightful, buddy, and very impressive, frankly. And one of the things they teach you in more advanced self-actualization is to be an observer of your own thoughts. And it's very, very powerful. And I wish I could say I've mastered that. I'm nowhere near that, but because we think thoughts every day. We're asking ourselves questions all the time, all day long. And those questions can empower us or they can disempower us. Absolutely. And so you've got to take a look at those. I didn't get this until, I'd spent several years with Tony Robbins and discovered that a question I was asking myself daily was, how can I show them I'm good enough? In fact, when I discovered that, I'll share this for the first time publicly, I probably cried for 30 minutes. I was like, holy shit, that's what it is. And now that question caused me to be a huge success financially because I was pushing so hard, but it also cost me my first family. It cost me time with my kids because I was so, I'd come home and I'd play with them, but I was somewhere else mentally. Biggest regret in life to this day, which is why with my students, I spend so much time on making sure that you are paying attention to what really matters, which is those relationships and your personal growth and health and all of those things, not just money. Okay. And so anyway, I'm taking up your time. So let's move into, anything else? I mean, you've added so many incredible psychological tips. Anything else before I cut loose? If that's, if you've exhausted, that's fine.
I'm just gonna say I'm grateful for guys like you that have gone through those experiences and are willing to share with people like for others to listen to, because I listened to your story of the failures you had and some of the things you talked about, and those are some of the things that I've become aware of that I want to learn for myself to be better. So that's all I had to add. Just that I'm grateful for you
Yeah.
sharing those your experiences with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was, yeah, I had to really become vulnerable to do that. And, if you come to one of my boot camps, within the first 5 minutes, you'll hear about the most painful moment in my life, which was telling my kids we were getting a divorce because I'd been so totally focused on success. Now, thank God now, because I've got the most beautiful human being on the planet as my wife. But at that time it was bad. But I found that really resonates. People, I've got a lot of competitors in the business talk about how great they are. And I've even had one post that say, how can somebody that lost $50 million teach you how to buy multifamily? Well, I'll tell you how. I avoid mistakes. My deals are incredibly conservative. We just closed on a deal that's just incredibly conservative, which is how. But anyway, I digress. So let's see. What suggestions, Leslie, would you have for, I have a lot of listeners like you that are still caught in analysis paralysis, that haven't taken action. They know they want more out of life. They're sitting on the sidelines. They're thinking they need to learn every little thing about this business before they actually take action with anything. What would you say to that person, and what coaching might you give them if you were coaching them?
I would say do exactly what I did, which is find somebody else that is on the opposite side that takes action and does not get stuck in analysis paralysis. Even if in your own analysis, the action that person is taking is the wrong action, align yourself with that person and just follow them and take those actions yourself. And soon enough, you'll realize that that action is way better than analysis, because from action, you get way more data that you could use to come up with whatever process that you want to take forward. Right now you're analyzing based on a limited amount of knowledge that you have. So, but when you take that action, even if it's the wrong action, you get way more data that you could use.
Oh, I love that answer. That's like crack cocaine to an analytical person. You combined the action with more data. Oh yeah, more data. I want more data. Oh, I freaking love that answer. That's awesome. So as you were getting into this real estate game, okay, yes, were there any aha moments where you're like, holy cow? I mean, any like holy cow moments? I know the book was. I'd not even heard of that Kiyosaki book. I thought I'd read every single one of his. It's called Second Chance or something. What did you call it?
Second chance at your money and your life.
Oh man, I gotta check that out.
Yeah, the book is very powerful. Anybody that's a millennial with student loan debt, he breaks down the financial system in there in a way that was easy for me to understand.
Oh, his books are fantastic. Every one of them is truly fantastic. And I thought I'd seen them all. I missed that one, but okay. But anyway, aha moments, if you would, if any besides that book, anything else come to mind when I ask that question?
Oh yeah, multiple aha moments. The first was like when I was doing my renovation for the single family condo, the first one I bought. I took 2 weeks off of work to do that, and I've never felt so happy in my life doing something like that. Like I was off work on vacation, going there and looking at this and conceptualizing what I wanted this project to look like and bringing it to life, moving in and turning in there. And I felt so happy. So to me, that was like a light bulb moment. Like maybe this real estate thing is something that I should be doing. And then when I got the appraisal and the refinance and the value build up, that was another big aha moment for me. And then, with our multifamily business as well, going out and talking to people, and seeing that look in their eyes when you're able to explain to them the value that you're able to provide with some of these deals. Mm-hmm. Oh man, Arad, I understand now why guys like you are so passionate and talk so passionate about the multifamily and want to go out there and spread the word to everybody, because there's so much value that we could give by being operators and buying these assets and presenting it to our investors.
And the value we provide to those communities and the value we provide to ourselves and the economy in general and so on and so forth. Well, let me ask you this. What's your driver, buddy? What is your why? Why are you, but actually before you answer, I want to circle back to something you just said. And I hope you guys identified it. He discovered that he actually loves this freaking business by taking 2 weeks off and spending time at that home and playing real estate. And that's the operative word there, is playing real estate. And so here's my advice to you listening. If you can't learn to love this business, and you can learn to love really anything. If you apply yourself, you associate pleasure with the action of doing it. But if you can't love this business, for God's sakes, go do something else. But when you do love it, honestly, success is inevitable. Would you agree, Leslie?
Oh, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. And I could go hours upon hours talking about real estate, and and I enjoy it. So when you love it, it doesn't feel like work, because when we look back at the journey, we did not get success immediately. It took us almost like 18 months to get on our first deal, but never in any one of those months did I feel disappointed or look back and was like, oh, this is not fun, or what am I doing here? At every point along the way, we were having a great time just growing.
Love it. So back to the question I was starting to ask: what is your why? What is your driver? What is really driving this? And actually, and I'm going to digress again for a moment, because I just realized there was something else I wanted to say about loving this. When you love this, guys, to influence people, they need to feel passion. And when you love it, they feel that passion. If you don't love it, you can't fake that passion. But in this business, it's a team sport. You've got to influence investors, brokers, sellers, partners, vendors. And you're not going to influence them if you're not passionate about it. And you're not going to be passionate about it if you don't love it. So again, if you can't learn to love it, and you can learn, I tell my students, equate it to hunting for buried treasure. But if you can't, for God's sakes, do something else. So anyway, sorry, third time the charm. What is your why? What's driving you, buddy?
I totally agree with you on loving this, Rod. I think I've alluded to my why a little bit during the conversation, and my why, I could sum it up in one word: it's growth.
Growth. Okay.
Growth. Okay. And for me, if I'm not growing in life, I am not happy. And in multifamily investing, I found a business that I grow in so many aspects of life. Like right from the onset when I started to the person that I am today, I've grown tremendously, and I see the growth continue to happen. And then the growth is not just happening to me. I am sharing the growth with a lot of other people, with a lot of investors. So I just, like, to me, that's my driving force. I'm in a business that helps me continue to grow, and I'm able to help others grow. So it keeps me going.
What would you say? Well, let me ask you this. What is your definition of success? Because it's different for everybody. But if you were to look in the dictionary under the word success, what would be the definition you'd put there?
I would say every day I wake up going after something worthy is a successful day for me. Every time I'm pushing towards a goal that is worthy. I think it's like I think it's Earl Nightingale that gave that definition of success. It's like the pursuit of a worthy goal. To me, that resonates with me. That makes sense. For me, it's never a destination. Like people ask me, when are you retiring? I don't think I'm ever going to retire. Right. Until the day I die. As long as I'm doing something that I'm enjoying, going after a goal, I'm going to keep doing that. I
had not heard Nightingale's or Earl Nightingale's quote, "The pursuit of a worthy goal is success." I freaking love that definition, because success truly is the journey. It's never the destination, like you said. I love it. Okay, so do you have any besides that quote, which is awesome? Do you have any other favorite quotes that you like?
Oh, I love quotes, Rod. I love a lot of.
All right, well, throw some on me, buddy. I've got them around me as well, so throw some on me.
There's one by I think Robin Sharma is the one that I heard him say. It says, "Let joy be your GPS. Do the things that brings you joy. Go to the places that bring you joy, and be around the people that bring you joy. And if you use that GPS, you're gonna have a wonderful life." So I try to live my life that way. And
I love that one. Perry, who's going to edit this, Perry, send me that quote, please. I want that in writing on an email to me. I love that one, because we work so hard and we forget what's the purpose of life. Happiness and joy, and that I love that one. What? Keep going. Give me another one or two.
There's so many, right, that I can't think of. I used to do this thing every Wednesday. It's called Wisdom Wednesdays, where I just throw out some of the quotes that I like. So I have a bunch of them. I can't think of them.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. So let me ask you, I've got a couple more quick questions.
Yes.
Tell me about any early failures that you had that may have contributed to future success. or just failures in general, and you know, what was a lesson involved, if anything comes to mind for you?
Yes. So initially, early on in our journey, we had an opportunity to be co-general partners on a deal, and where someone brought it to us, and at that point, I was still stuck in my introvert, in my little space, trying to stick in the analysis and not going out and talking to people. So we did go choose the easy route, trying to find one or two investors that will bring the funds to invest on that deal. And once we heard a yes from one investor that would said, "Oh, I'm going to bring all the funds you need to invest in that," stop talking to people because I was more comfortable being in myself. And then we ended up, the investor backed out in the last minute, and we were unable to get on the deal, scrambling in the last minute to get investors. So that taught me a lesson that in order to be successful in this business, I'm going to have to break out of my shell. I cannot just rely on my other partners or everybody. So we all have to break out in the shell and do some of the things that we're uncomfortable with. So we learned from that, sought more guidance, got more education, and then went out and did things differently. So, and it has led to a lot of growth that we've had since then.
No, that's a great example. In fact, you know, I tell my students, and not the growth piece of that example, the actual, the technical side of what happened where you lost an investor, you know, I tell my students oversubscribed by about 25%. Like the latest deal we just closed, we needed to raise 12.6 million. We had soft commitments for 15. And we had to herd the cats to get to the 12.6. It's like, you know, people's lives, you know, things happen, life gets in the way, you know, they chase a shiny object and see something else, or so on and so forth. And both Scott and I, my partner, were super busy, so we didn't have the time to give it the personal attention it needed, which is one of the reasons that we, you know, it's great that, you know, we got it subscribed, but, you know, it's kind of funny so don't ever, you know, if you get a big investor on a deal that says they're going to put up a good chunk of it, don't stop. Keep looking, and even be careful with a large investor. Maybe even limit the amount of their investment, because they can cripple you. I've had stories of people on the show that have been, you know, literally almost lost deals because they couldn't. And we've gotten deals that people had that situation happen. We have a deal in Dallas that the guy couldn't raise the money. He had commitments, couldn't raise it. And you know, we've got 10 million in equity in that thing now,
wow,
since we closed. So,
wow.
Well, listen, brother, I appreciate you being on the show. It's a real treat to meet you. And, I hope that we stay in touch, my friend. Thank you for adding value.
Oh, Rod, thank you so much for everything you do. And thank you so much for having me on your show. It's truly an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rod, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. Now, I know you've been hard at work helping our Warrior students do just that using our ACT methodology, which is awareness, close, and transform. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
You bet. Guys, we've been going nonstop for 3 years, building an amazing community of like-minded people. And our coaching students, which we call our Warriors, have had extraordinary results. They've purchased thousands and thousands of units. And last year, we did over 1,000 units with our students. And we're looking to grow this group and take it to the next level. We're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework that's really step by step, and then leverage our systems and network to raise equity, to find and close deals, and to build partnerships nationwide. Now, our Warrior community is finding success in any market cycle. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more of our incredible network and take advantage of the incredible opportunities that are coming very soon, apply to work with us at mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 72345, and we'll set up a call so you can check us out and we can check you out. That's mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 72345.